Storm of Steel by Compass Games puts you in charge of a squadron of Stuka dive bombers in World War II. Check out how this game works as I play through part 1 of the campaign here today on Legendary Tactics. We're going to try the full campaign here. We hope you are going to join us for that. So here's a look at my Staffel for Storm of Steel. I've got 10 Stukas with veteran pilots and veteran gunners. So I've decided for the first mission we're going to have these 5 airplanes. We're going to send basically half the Staffel out on the first mission. Seems like a nice, easy number to start with. And so we're going to rest a lot of these other crew members for future missions. First up, we are rolling to see what type of mission we are on. And we have a 7 and 1. So fortunately, it's very close to our airfield for the first mission. When we take a look at the first mission, we have an airfield. So fortunately, it's right close. Now for this mission, we've decided to go with the basic ordnance, nothing special. So we move the Staffel into Zone 1. There's no event card and no check for interceptors. So we roll for target visibility, and unfortunately it is low visibility today. That means the die roll modifier is all going to get boosted by 2, unfortunately. Now we need to see what the anti-air is like. And we have rolled a 10. So we have heavy anti-aircraft. This is not good. I get another chance to re-roll this because it's June 1941 and I re-roll another 10. So that doesn't help at all. So we're going to have 3 planes affected here. So we've got number 1, the flight leader, number 3, and number 4. So for the anti-air, we roll 6 and 10-sided die. So apparently that's a terrible roll on my aircraft. My flight leader's plane has been totally destroyed. Okay, so we're gonna see if there was a successful bailout here by Kraus and Lang. Kraus, the pilot's gonna be the black die. And we're going to see here. So it's actually -1 for the roll because they're veterans. So Kraus is out and Lang has to reroll, and then he is successfully bailed out. And now we have a successful bailout over enemy territory, but they're in Zone 1, so they should be okay. And we roll a 2 for the pilot, Kraus, and for Lang. Oh, that was close. Roll an 8. So anyway, that means they're successfully evaded, although they do take some stress. And I know this is probably something that would normally be done later, but we'll just take care of this now. And we'll add a couple stress to Kraus and Lang, but we're happy to see them survive. So I put the destroyed aircraft thing on there on the port wing, which is what took the plane down. Now we gotta hope for a better outcome for planes 3 and 4 here. Then we get 3 and 3. And the flak hit the same port wing, but it only adds 2 crew stress. And the crew stress is applied to both the pilot and the gunner. Next we roll for plane number 4. We have 1 and 6. Uh-oh. Fortunately, it's only adding 1 crew stress, which we will do here. So now we're going to do the attack run. So we got +2 for the bad visibility, but -1 for the ordnance. And we do have some crew stress. So the crew stress is going to affect plane 3. Plane 4 doesn't have enough stress for that to affect it. So now we roll for the scores. And so plane number 2 rolls a 4. This is a large target. And so that's 4 plus 1 is 5. So they get 50 points. So not too bad. Plane number 3, dealing with the plus 2 modifier, gets a 6. That's 40. It's still not too bad. And we'll check out plane 4 and 5 next. Okay, so for plane 4 we get a 2 plus the 1 is 3, so we get 70 points. So good job there. And then number 5 we have oh boy, a 10 plus 1, so that is still 5, which is something. All right, so we're turning around and we are returning home. This has not been the best mission. I'm glad it was only one zone. So now we'll see if these guys can land. It's just a 0 is the only one that's going to be a problem. Plane 2 rolls a 4. Plane 3 gets a 6, so that's fine. Plane 4 gets a 2, so that's all good. And plane 5 also lands safely. Jeez, that's, I guess, a blessing in some ways. One of the neat things about this game is that you're managing your Staffel, you're managing your planes and the damage and so forth. One of the things that I need to do is find out how long before we can get a new aircraft. And I rolled a 2, so that means that the mission timer is 3. So before I can get back the aircraft, I have to fly 3 missions in order to get that back. At the end of each mission, it moves 1 to the right and until it becomes available. Now I have the crew getting ready for the next mission. We're going to want to rest Kraus and Lang and Steiner and Roll, and even De Norden Hachtel, as they need to recover from some of the stress there. So we'll be sending out some of these new people into the next mission. So this is the end of the first mission. Bit of a disaster. We did lose a plane, but managed to keep the pilot and gunner, and we ended up with an average score of 41, so not too bad. So for mission 2, I brought back Becker and Chernovsky, but otherwise it's a fresh group. I'm going to let the other boys rest. And I got a proper dice tower for the die rolls now, so I'm going to put that through, and it looks like we're going all the way to zone 6, and this looks like it's a maritime mission. Interesting. Okay, we need to roll a d10 to see what we're up against. We're up against a destroyer. Doesn't seem worth the risk to me, but go all that way for a destroyer, but at least it's not for a gunboat. So for the ordnance, I'm going to take the regular load, but I am going to take an SC-1000. We're going to give that to the flight leaders there, and I guess we'll just give them to plane 2 here. So that's going to help with small targets, which is and basically versus ships. So that's what we are looking to do, is take the best modifier we can. Okay, and we're underway in zone 1. And we're going to take an event here, command confusion, move mission counter 1 zone away from formation, disregard of zone 6. So it looks like it was going to be far away no matter what. Now we don't need to do a check because we're still under full cover of our protective Luftwaffe escorts. So we move into zone 2 and we check the event here. Stuka's to the rescue. One of your gunners spots an encircled German infantry unit, and you may either ignore and continue to target zone and apply 1 crew stress to random crew, or help them cancel the current mission and attack troops in the current zone. Do not roll for anti-aircraft fire. Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna take that because flying 6 zones for a destroyer. I think high command would be fine if I attack the troops there and see if I can free up that German infantry unit. So I'm gonna put troops here in zone 2, and that's our new mission for this round. Now I'm going to roll for target visibility, and we got a 5, which is medium visibility. So that does hurt my chances a bit. Now we have the modifiers for the visibility. For the SC-1000s against medium targets, those are troops in this case. So there's a -1 net for that. For the other 3 fighters, they have a +1, -1 situation, so they have 0 die roll modifiers. I'm not going to try Rudel's gamble for this one. And now we begin the attack rolls. So for Becker and Chernovsky, they got a 3 -1, so that's 2. And against a medium target, that is actually 85% effective, so not bad. For plane number 2 here, 3 -1 again, so we got 85. Okay, this was very effective in terms of the attack. We've got next one up is 5 unmodified. That's going to be a 40%. Then we've got an unmodified one for the next one. That's 3, so that's a 70. So we are doing pretty well. And I'm just going to move this over here so we can see. For the last plane, we have a 1. So that is an unmodified 1, which is actually a 100%. So man, we did the damage needed to free up that unit, no question about that. Very successful mission. The Staffel is going to turn around and fly back. We got an event card, good intel, remove 1 crew stress from any 2 pilots. We don't even have any stress to worry about. So very successful. We're going to land at the airfield and do our landing rolls. Now again, I don't think we have anything to fear from the landing rolls. We might have a forced landing in one of these cases. So plane 1 is good. Plane 2 is good. Plane 3 is good. Plane 4 is fine. Plane 5 is good. We only had to worry about rolling a 10 to have a forced landing. So in this particular operation, got a score of 74. So that's really going to boost things for our mission objectives for this campaign. Now some of the pilots that were resting, they recover some stress, which is good. And these ones are fine now, and these 2 are just a little bit stressed. So that is good. I think the missions are a little bit easier in the early going. Also, we get a chance to move this mission timer and get our plane back sometime soon. Overall, a surprising but excellent result for mission 2. Okay, we're going to roll for the next mission, and we've got a 5 zone mission, and it's going to be an airfield. So this one is going to be my longest distance flown so far, unless we get distracted again. So an airfield is a large target, so we're going to take that into account when we choose our ordnance. So we're going to choose the same crew, I think, just because the last mission was so short. Just refuel and turn them right around. They didn't suffer any stress or any damage or anything, so no harm in doing that. Because it's a large target, we're going to take the SC-1000 for the flight leader and plane 2 with Bruckner and Steen. Becker and Chernovsky should hopefully get to the point where they can get an upgrade to their skill soon. Okay, we're going to advance to the first zone and draw the event card. And it's friend or foe. Pilots see fighter silhouettes in the distance, so add 1 crew stress to the Staffel leader. I haven't got very far and already things are getting stressful, I guess. There's no point in rolling for contact as the boys have full air cover for the moment. The Staffel advances to zone 2. The event card this time is spots in the distance. Your wingman calls over the radio, "Fighters at 12 o'clock." You coolly reply, "Relax, Hans, they're just birds." No effect. Now we do need to roll for potential contact. We get an 8, which is a 1 I-16. Now the fighter escort table, we'll roll anyway. I don't think it matters because they remove 2 enemy, and so I don't think we need to worry about attacking fighters. All right, the Staffel advances and draws another event card. Waypoint reached. The Staffel has reached a waypoint without incident, no effect. Things considered a quiet mission so far. We will drop that die in there. There's no contact for fighters. And now we're wandering away a little bit away from base. Zone 4. And warm fire in the distance. The gunner sees a faint light of a campfire over the objective area. -1 DRM to the target visibility roll. So just keep that card handy there to remind me. And we will check for contact. And we get a 7, which is no contact. And just like that, we are over the target zone. All right, we're going to roll for target visibility. We have a -1 applied, so it becomes a 4. Its visibility remains medium. Now we check for anti-air, and we get a 6, which is again medium. This means that 2 aircraft will be affected. Okay, so we'll start by drawing 2 random aircraft from the cup. We've got number 4, and we have number... Oh, trying to get at one of them here. What do we got? Number 1, the Staffel leader. Okay, so we're going to roll for the Staffel leader first. We get a 2 and a 3. 2 on the die 10, which means engine, and a 3, which means -1 zone. So that's kind of an interesting one. We have to subtract zone range. If unable to reach airfield, roll for bailout. This reduces the range of the engine by 1. Fortunately, we're not operating at the extreme end of the range. Planes can fly up to 12 zones, so we have 1 less zone that we can fly, but that means we're still within the 11 total zones that this plane can fly because we're flying 5 out and 5 back. Then the second plane, number 4, takes a hit in the tail and 4 crew stress. Yikes. So I don't know what happened to them, but man, it was stressful. Okay, so now we begin our bomb runs. We're going to drop the SC-1000. That's going to give a pretty decent modifier. So because of the poor visibility, we have +1. But it's -3 because of the large target, so that ends up as a -2. Same with this guy, +1, -3 because of the S-1000. Everyone else just gets +1 because of the visibility issues. All right, so we're going to do the flight leader. It's a 9. 9 -2 is 7, so that gives us a 30%. Not that great, but at least it wasn't as bad as it could have been. For the next roll, we get a 10 for Bruckner and Steen here. That gives us a success of 20%. That's pretty terrible. So the leaders in this thing, 30%, 20%, and they had the good weapons. Now I should say that the ordnance actually cancels out the visibility +1 there, so it's a roll of 0, except in the case of our stressed out Bode and Kurzau. They're in rough shape, So they're going to deal with a +1 +2 for the bombing, because they have stress 4. So they're going to have an extra +2 to their roll. All right, here we go with plane 3, a 2, and that's modified by 0. So that's going to be an 80%. That sort of salvages the mission a little bit. Now we've got +2 on Bode and Kurzau. Wow, they get they get a 10 +2. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a failure. So so that's going to be a 5%. They did get a little bit there. And finally we have Freien and Geisler with a unmodified roll of 4. That's going to give them a 60% success. So overall, not a great result. And now we're turning around and getting out of here. Back to zone 4, and the event card is Hawkeye. Randomly select an aircraft and provide a -1 DRM on 1 bombing and attack run. That could have been useful last turn, but is useless to us now. All right, we roll for contact, and we get a 7, which is no contact for this zone. Keep on trucking along. The event card, clear weather, good visibility on the air ops map. Do not roll for visibility. Well, I guess that would have been helpful as well had we gotten it on the way in. We check for contact, and we have a 2, which is no result, so nothing happens. I'm feeling a bit of a sense of relief as we approach, get to zone 2, return to base. Randomly select 1 aircraft to return to base immediately. Okay, well, someone's speeding ahead, I guess. Okay, and that random person is plane 5, races home. For this guy, we only need to worry about a roll of 10, and we get an 8, so he lands successfully. And we check for contact. No contact. I think we're close enough to the base that it won't matter anyway. The air cover is just too strong at this point. And the Staffel, the last 4 planes anyway, make it to zone 1. Storms are brewing. Place a low visibility counter. So is it good visibility or is it bad visibility? It's tough to say. Now, because of the full air cover, there's no need to roll for encounters. We're safe. But we do need to manage this landing a little bit. We've got a stressed out pilot and one with engine damage, so that'll affect the roll a little bit. Okay, the landing for the flight leader, because there's engine damage, it's +1 to the roll. And we have a forced landing. So we're going to roll to see what happens here. And we get a 1, damaged, 3 aircraft repair timer, but the crew is okay, so that's good. Could have gone worse. Next up we have for plane 2, we're good. Plane 3, we're also good, barely. Plane 4 now, because there's +4 more stress, it's +2 to the roll. And we have an 8, so fortunately landed safe. And the last plane lands safe as well. Okay, so flight leader, I think it's time for you guys to take a break. You got a bit of stress going and your plane is trashed. So we're gonna put this on the recovery track there. So actually Becker and Sharnovsky survive because of their veteran status, gives them a negative landing modifier, so that saves their bacon. And I forgot to use their benefit earlier of removing crew stress. So I'm going to use that for right now, and just as they're landing, we're going to get rid of one of the crew stress on plane 4 here for Bode and Kurzau. So everyone lands safely, so we're going to switch things out for next mission. Now I've got Becker and Chernovsky and Bode and Kurzau. They're going to sit out the next mission. The rest of them have a countdown, and their stress is gone, and we're 1 turn away from getting our destroyed aircraft back. So we've switched out the crews, giving the other crew members a bit of a breather, and there's a few crew members that have a bit of stress they've accumulated, so we're going to let that dissipate and we're going to see what happens next. Now that is a regrettable score. We're going to have to pull our socks up and do better next time. Alright, so you see where we're headed. It's only one zone away and it's an artillery. So hopefully this will be an easy milk run. Artillery is a medium sized target, so we're going to give the SC-1000s to planes 1 and 2 as we usually do. And so the Staffel moves ahead. There's no event card and no check for encounters. It's just basically a little trip over the hill and drop some bombs and come right back. We do need to roll for visibility, and we roll a 2, so we have good visibility for this particular mission. Then we roll for anti-air, and we've got a medium anti-air, so 2 aircraft are going to be selected for targeting. So we're going to pick one of them. The first one is plane 5 and the next one is plane 3. And I keep forgetting this. We can re-roll in June, July of 1941. We roll the exact same thing. So medium is the anti-aircraft. Okay, well, we'll start with plane 3. Drop this down. It's 5 and 5. So we have general damage, and 5 across is 4 crew stress. Wow, that was, I don't know what happened, but it was very stressful. Crew stress there for De Noort and Hachtel. And then we'll check for plane number 5. And we'll see what happens here. We've got 9 and 2. So it's a tail +1 crew stress. So not too bad. So we'll put the crew stress on here. And I'm going to use my flight commander's ability to reduce stress by 1. And so we're going to relieve the stress. I'm going to give some kind words to De Noort and Hachtel so that they can be a little bit less stressed about that flak, and hopefully that'll improve their bomb run. So because the weather is good, the die roll modifier for the SC-1000 is -2, so it's going to be -2 to the die rolls there. The stress on these guys cancels out the ordnance bonus, and so it's -1 for those guys, and then we'll see how well they do on their bombing run. Okay, so we're going to see how the flight leader does. Gets a 3 -2, so that is a 1, so that is a 100% hit. The SC-1000 comes in very handy. Then we have plane number 2 and a 2 -2, so again 100% thanks to the SC-1000. Those have proven themselves in greatly here. Now we'll see how Hurling and Kempfer do despite all that stress. This is an unmodified 4. It's 55%, so right there. And then we have a roll here to -1. That's a 7, so that's only 20%. A little bit disappointing there. And the last plane was Steiner and Roll. They roll a 10 -1. They managed to just get 5% of the target. So at least the first 2 planes did really well. The results from the rest of them weren't that great. And the Staffel then turns around and flies back to the airfield, and we'll just do some landing rolls, make sure everyone made it back safely. So in looking at the table here with the veteran pilots, the only one that we need to roll for is De Noort and Hachtel, who have the crew stress, and they only have a forced landing on a 10. Let's see what happens, and they're safe. So in totaling up the logbook, we have 36 points on average, plus 4 for having everyone come back safe. And that's the end to mission 4. We're going to be swapping out a couple of these pilots and gunners and getting them some rest. Okay, we're going to give these guys some rest. We've replaced them with some fresh crew, but the crew stress here is reduced on these guys as well, and we get our plane back, so that's good news. We have our new plane, or repaired plane, back in action. Not that we're using it. I like to fly. I'm finding 5 planes is about good enough, I think. I've heard some people say that 6 is maybe the best number, but I'm going to try 5 for now, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll adjust it as we go. All right, next mission. Didn't roll through the tower, but that's okay. We have troop target and 2 zones out. I have to say we've been pretty lucky with these being very short runs. I can see this could be a lot more challenging when they're a longer route to get to the target. So we're going to take the cluster bombs. Those are good against troops, and that we're also going to take the SC-1000s as well, because they're also good against medium-sized targets. As usual, we'll give those SC-1000s to the first 2 planes. Flight leader this time is Kraus and Lang. We should have some pilots with some experience by the time we get to the second campaign, or second part of it, so that'll be super useful. Okay, so the Staffel takes off and heads into Zone 1. We have an event card. Ace, your Staffel recognizes a famous Luftwaffe ace flying in your vicinity. Remove 2 crew stress from any crew member flying. We have no crew stress to this point, and there's no point in rolling for an encounter because we're under the full cover, so we'll move right into the target zone now. Again, we don't need to worry about an event card, and also we don't need to worry about an encounter in the target zone. Now we will roll for visibility, and we have a visibility of medium. So that's +1 die roll modifier to our attack. And we check for anti-air, and we get a 10, of course, heavy. But we can re-roll this one because it's June, July 1941, and we get an 8, which is medium. So that's all right. Okay, so we have a couple of planes that must take the brunt of the anti-aircraft. They're planes 1 and 2. So those SC-1000 bombs are at risk here. So we're going to roll for the flight leader. Oh, this isn't good. We roll a 1 and a 6. Normally 6 is pretty terrible. Fortunately, in this case, it's only a crew stress, and so we can live with that. We can maybe even remove it as the flight leader. Next, we have plane number 2 here. And we get 8 and 2. So there's a small leak, -1 zone to this plane due to the fuel system, but that's okay. We've only got a short distance to fly, so not the worst result. Okay, now we begin the bombing run, and we're just going to check the ordnance here. So we have the visibility is +1, but for these weapons, it's -2 to the troop target. So everyone is at a die roll of -1 currently. There's no crew stress adjustments or crew quality adjustments. We're not going to try Rudel's gamble. So it's a -1 for everyone here. So we'll see how the scores go. All right, so we've got our little dice tower here. We're going to do our fearless flight leader against a medium target. It's an 8, so that's 10%. So not that great a job there. We've got an 8 -1 for the wingman here. So that's 7, so that's 20%. Jeez, hopefully we get better rolls than this. Number 3 gets a 10 -1, so manages to scrape by with 5%. And plane 4, yikes. Okay, 40% on that one. So this has been a disastrous run. I don't know where those troops are hiding. And we'll see how plane 5 does. Ugh, not good either, 20%. So that was not a very successful mission at all. So with that, we turn around. I just have to withstand an event card here. Waypoint reached, no effect. So that's fine. And then we come in for landing. Because of their veteran status and because they're basically undamaged, everyone lands safely. The roll is going to be a -1. So there's no forced landings at the moment. So everyone arrives safely and we'll tally up the results. Now I should say at some point in the flight leader uses the flight leader special ability to remove stress and just remove stress from themselves. After all, they led a successful, well, reasonably successful mission. So an average score of 19 plus 4 because of the fact everyone came home safe, and not a great score, but at least everyone survived. And we do actually have a lot of people here who are going to be promoted in the new when the new campaign starts. So this is good. We've got a bunch of them getting experience. And now we just need to make sure that we're utilizing our planes and pilots in a way where we can get as many of them promoted as possible before the next operation. Last thing we need to do is to remove some crew stress for the pilots that rested here. And it's going to be a little while until De Noort and Hachtal get back in action, but everyone overall is doing pretty well, and we have all of our planes still in operation. So all in all, through 5 missions, we're doing okay. Now Kiel and Koch have a damaged fuel system, and when we look at the table here, it says that it's only a 1-turn repair, so that's not that's not terrible. And we've got other planes that we can swap in at the moment. So that plane will sit out, but just for a short time while they fix it up. Okay, it is time for mission 6. And we got a spinny dice here. We have an 11 in zone 3. So we have an HQ. That's an interesting one. So we have an HQ in zone 3. So that's not too far away, but it's one of the farthest ones we've had since this campaign began. So for ordnance, we're going to take the SC-500 and the SC-50 against small targets. It's the best we can manage. So we'll have Kraus and Lang leading again with the SC-1000s on planes 1 and 2 once again. And we've already got a lot of our pilots up to experience 3, which is where we want them. Now it's just a matter about surviving till the next until the next part of the campaign. I'm going to fly 6 planes this time, and I'm going to include the green pilots. and gunner Schrout and Horner. Need to get these guys some experience before the next phase in the campaign, so they can get out of green status and to veteran. And I want to make sure all my veterans have a chance to get to elite. So I'm going to make sure to send out the guys that haven't got a lot of flight time yet. Okay, the Staffel takes off. There won't be any encounters in this zone because the air cover is still good. But now we have an event. Heard the one about. Tired but in good spirits. Remove a stress from the highest stressed crew member. Fortunately, we don't have one of those. And so there's no encounter, so we'll just plow on into zone 2. And we have another card. Warm fire in the distance. The gunner sees a faint light of a campfire over the objective area. So -1 DRM to the target visibility roll. So I'm just going to take that card and put it by the visibility track so I remember about it. And we're going to check for encounters with enemy aircraft. Okay, we're going to check for an encounter. We roll an 8, which is 1 I-16. I imagine the defensive fighters will take care of that though. Roll the dice here. We should be pretty good, I'm hoping. We roll a 6, and being in zone 2, unfortunately, the air cover doesn't come through, so we have a fighter interception. This is the first time this has happened to us so far. Okay, so we're gonna see where the approach is coming from. So the white die is a 3, so it's an approach from starboard. And then we have the fighter attack, one plane, and crew stress, because it's a roll of 2 there. Guess that was a pretty benign roll. We'll get hit number 2. Now it only causes some crew stress though, so we can live with that. Okay, this was the targeted aircraft. But because of the approach from starboard, the gunner wasn't able to do anything about it, and the stress happens. But other than that, we managed to maybe get away with a little bit. I could see with these attacks, potentially if you're in zone 5 or 6, it could be a bit of a dire situation, especially if the air cover is not there to protect you. So after that close encounter, we move into the mission target zone here. There's no event card or encounters drawn for that. And we'll check on our bombing run. We have target visibility with a -1 modifier due to the event. That's a 2, so the visibility is good. Next up is the anti-aircraft roll here, and we got away with a 1, which is actually no effect. There is no planes affected by flak. Oh, that's pretty good. We'll move that even over to the light side, even though it's not even on there. So that's great. We're all in for the attack rolls now. Okay, we're going to start with the bombing run. All right, we've got a small target, and so we're going to see how the flight leader does. Rolls a 7. Now it's modified by -2. There's good visibility and no other negative effects. So that's actually a 5, and on a small target, that's a 50%. So that is not bad. For number 2, we have again a -2 because there's no other modifiers that apply. And we have a 6 -2, which is a 4, and that is a 60%. So far, so good. Plane 3, Bruckner and Steen. We have a roll of 9. Now, it's only modified by -1, so it's an 8 in this case. Small target is 15%. They don't have the SC-1000, so they're just using a regular -1 ordnance. We've got rolled a 6, that's a 5. So that's not bad. That's 50% with Hurling and Kempfer. So these are pretty decent results so far. And then we're going to see what about the last Schneider and Newbert and Snake Eyes. So that is going to be 100%. Great shot, guys. That was excellent. And now the greenies, they don't have any negative modifiers exactly. They roll boxcars, so that will be a miss. Okay, now we're turning around after a reasonably decent bombing run. Randomly select an aircraft and provide an additional -1 DRM on a bombing attack run. Would have been useful to get that earlier. And then we'll roll for intercept. Now we have a small chance of intercept with a 7, no contact this time. Now we're basically home. We're going to have the full air cover, clear weather, mark good visibility on the air ops map. Do not roll for visibility. So that was already the case, so nothing new there. And so we just begin to come in for a landing now. And really it's only the greenies that I need to check to see if there's a forced landing. And just as we're coming in to land, I'm going to use my flight leader ability to reduce the stress on Steiner and roll. Just tell them everything's going to be okay, and they're going to land safely. And we'll just check for these guys, and they come in for a very good landing, roll a 1, and so that's going to be a perfect landing for them. Not a bad first mission, although they did not hit the target. I guess you all have to start somewhere. All right, and we get our damaged aircraft back. So we'll put that one back in the queue here. And we're going to reduce the crew stress by 1. So everyone is back except for De Noort and Hachtel, which they're still under a bit of stress there. So we'll let them rest another mission. Otherwise, things are in good shape. When I add up the scores for the first 6 missions, we end up just in marginally successful territory. I'm not sure if it's better to send more planes at this point and try and do more damage. But every time you send more planes, it's an average score, so I'm not sure if that will help. Anyway, we're winning at least, if only slightly. We just need to get better pilots, I think, and then we can hit the targets more effectively. This has been the first 6 missions of Storm of Steel, Junkers 87 Stuka Eastern Front from Compass Games. We're going to be continuing this campaign in future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you here next time on Legendary Tactics.